Hello everyone, Fancy here, you're watching Fantavision, and today I am discussing another babysitting tale. Now I said this was going to be a trilogy, not quite sure if it's going to be a trilogy yet. This is only the second one so far. The first one I did back in April, and the reason I'm wearing a GameStop shirt is because originally I was going to be doing a Tales from Retail about GameStop, but I am literally out of ideas I'm pointing to nothing right now. I'm out of ideas from my list. I'm completely out, gonna be honest. So please submit any ideas you might have. Other than that, I'm just gonna have to try to figure out something. I don't know. Anyway, today I am drinking Big Wave Golden Ale by Kona Brewing Co. It's pretty delicious. Don't know what to say about it. It's delicious. Part 2. This is about the second kid that I babysat and was by far the best babysitting experience, and I believe I actually was working at GameStop during the time that I was babysitting this kid. He was really cool, honestly. He was one of the chillest kids I'd ever met. I mean, sometimes he got super hyper, but he's a kid, so obviously it's gonna happen. But whenever I went there, the reason I've got Halo 3 up is because around this time, Halo 3 and I believe ODST had just come out recently. And I would just be playing Halo or whatever with all my buddies. Oh, time to go. I'm going to go babysitting. See you guys in 25 minutes. Drive over to his house. He's already playing Halo. He puts on his headset, I put on my headset, we just join my buddies, and we just keep playing Halo. So basically, I got paid, I think at the time it was like $10 an hour to basically keep playing Halo, eat pizza, and watch movies with this kid. It was honestly the best gig I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, how can you complain? I mean, these guys, his parents were awesome, the kid was awesome, their house was awesome, everything about this gig was perfect. It was, I mean, when I had to do homework, the kid understood and he was cool and he went off and played Halo or whatever, watched movies in the living room, and it was just awesome. We had a lot of fun, and he actually introduced me to Korn somehow, this little kid. I'd never heard Korn before. This kid loved Korn, and for some reason his parents were completely okay with him listening to it. I don't know why, but that was cool, you know, introduced me to that band. I never knew that a little kid would introduce me to that kind of band. And we just played lots of different video games. We watched the old Godzilla movies. I remember his parents, like, for some reason he got in this whole Godzilla kick. And he got the Destroy All Monsters for the Wii, and he got a bunch of, like, the rubber suit Godzilla movies, and we sat down and watched a ton of them. And he watched Cartoon Network like the other kid as well, but on a much bigger, nicer TV. And they also had this virtual drum kit, you know, the one that's got like all those rubber pads, and you put the headphones on. So we'd screw around with that. That was a lot of fun. We played just lots of different video games during that time. And we played lots of custom games. I think about back to this time and why Halo 3 is by far my favorite Halo game. And it's just because the creativity in these custom games, we never got bored. Sometimes, but I mean, it's super rare that we ever got bored of playing Halo because there was always some new game type that somebody created. One of my millions of online Xbox buddies that I made back then, I don't talk to any of them now, but I made so many friends in that game where we just keep joining them. Then he made a bunch of friends in the game, so we kept joining all of them, and it was just infinite possibilities as to what custom game we're going to be playing that night. And it was like this variety party pack game. It was really strange just how much unique gameplay you can get out of one game. And that's why I've always loved Halo 3. Halo 3 Forge Mode, despite it might not be the best Forge Mode out of all the Halo games, definitely was a time where most people were the most creative. And that's when the online Halo community was at its biggest. It was just so much fun to just go over to his house and just play Halo, listen to Korn, eat pizza, watch Godzilla, watch Cartoon Network. I mean, it was the best gig ever. And of course, The only reason I ever stopped babysitting him is because he got old enough to stay home alone. That's it. I haven't talked to the kid, unfortunately, since I finished. Actually, no, maybe I did. It was a long time ago. I think I saw him. He had like just graduated or something. His parents came over to my parents' house. I don't remember what it was, but I think I did see him after I'd stopped babysitting for him. But he didn't have a cell phone or anything. I think I played Xbox with him occasionally, but life moves on. Really interesting. The other kid, some people asked me, I don't remember if I addressed it in the other babysitting video, but I have not seen the other kid that I used to babysit for in years. I used to hang out with him even after I was done babysitting for him, but then he moved away, and I don't know. You just kind of lose contact with people, but that's life. I'm trying to think of other things that were really cool about that babysitting gig. I got Christmas bonuses. I don't even get Christmas bonuses at my job now. That was awesome. I would just get a Christmas bonus. I'd get a birthday bonus. It was seriously like the best gig at that time. I mean, that was such a chill time in my life. I believe I was either a senior or a junior in high school, and I was working. This was when I was I believe a seasonal person at GameStop, or you know what? I think I might have just lost the job at GameStop because the season was over, and I was just basically babysitting. And then I was still working at the Chinese food restaurant. That's right. I was still working at the Chinese food restaurant at the time. So I had worked at the Chinese place and GameStop during the season, and then I only had the Chinese place, and then I was babysitting, and the timeline's all off. I mean, this was years ago. This was like 9 years ago, 8 years ago. This is a freaking crazy long time. So kind of hard to keep it all together in my mind and recall every single event that happened, but there's really not much to tell about this kid because he was just so well behaved. It was kind of crazy. This was also when I was introduced to Roblox. I still hate that game. I hated it back then too. The graphics in the game itself are just a mess. It's even worse now. It's just so full of just scummy microtransactions. What a god-awful game. I believe Minecraft was also pretty popular on the Xbox back then, so that would have been a game we definitely played. Minecraft's just a timeless game. You can't deny that. It just is. It's a timeless game. And another, just because, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot to say about that babysitting experience because, like I said, it was just so phenomenal. He was just so easy to hang out with. It was like hanging out with a friend. A little bit more of an immature friend, but a friend nonetheless because, he listened to me. He was just a cool kid. So not too much else to say, but let's move on to the last kid that I babysat for, and it was the last time I ever babysat in general, and it was way later. I was in college, and I think it was just like a family friend that needed a favor. Like they didn't have anybody else. My parents like, oh, it's just the kid's easy to watch, and it'll be fine, and that was the longest 4 or 5 hours of my life. Oh my god. This kid would just not stop running around the house. He was the complete opposite of the other kids that I babysat for. We finally sat down and played some games, but he didn't have a whole lot. He didn't have Xbox Live, even though this was way after Xbox Live was a normal thing. And it's not like his family was poor. I'm not shitting on his family because they're poor. They were in an insanely expensive house. Where it was located, it was probably close to $1 million house. But for some reason, this kid only had some demos that we played on his Xbox and a couple of kids' games, and he couldn't keep focused on that game, and he kept getting distracted and wanting to do something else. And it was just, oh man, it made me just so thankful for the kids that I had babysat for previously because they were just so well behaved. They were mature for their age. They were into playing video games. The other kid, I don't remember how old he was. I think he was 10, maybe 11, and he was playing Halo 3 and listening to Korn. I mean, his parents just trusted him to be okay with pretty much any content. He had Call of Duty in the computer. He had a bunch of different stuff. And that's another thing we did. We played Call of Duty 4, I believe it was, on the PC. Another wonderful game. It was just a great time, honestly. Whenever I went to go babysit for him, it was just so easy. I don't know how many times I can say how easy it was. And that's the problem, is when I'm talking about these stories at like GameStop or Walmart, I can go on forever because there's all these little micro details or things that were wrong or people I dealt with, something that made the experience worse, which makes it more memorable. And that's the weird thing about memory when you really think about it, is you can really remember the bad things that happen. They really stick with you. And I've talked about this before, that you've got a part of your brain that literally just remembers all of the bad things in your life, and they stick with you way more than the good things. And it's a survival instinct. It's an evolutionary thing that we have as human beings. So we remember, oh, this is a bad thing. Don't go near it. Don't eat this. This is a bad event. Try to avoid this again. It's a survival thing, but we don't really need it as much now. We definitely still do. Don't get me wrong. But it makes life a lot more miserable if you keep looking through the filter of that part of your brain, which a lot of people do. And that's why negative videos on YouTube do so well. That's why negative pretty much everything is just so much more popular than its positive spins. When Jim Sterling makes a positive video about something, it gets like a quarter of the views or half the views of his ranting and ravings about companies. It's really interesting. And it's kind of the same with these. These are more of a niche topic anyway. Talking about babysitting, not a whole lot of people care. Only the real, like, dedicated fans to this channel watch these videos, and that's fine. I mean, that's why I'm making it. I make these videos. It's basically Storytime Tuesday. It's not even Tales from Retail Tuesday anymore. It's more of a Storytime Tuesday, and I do want to continue doing that, even though I'm out of GameStop ideas. I'm running extraordinarily low on Walmart ideas. I know Steven's got a couple. I'm going to try to get Adam in some videos because he worked at a movie theater for many years. And I just want to continue this series for sure. But that wraps up my whole babysitting stories. That kid was just super hyperactive. He wasn't really bad in any other regard. I mean, he wasn't disobeying me or anything. He wasn't a little shit who was yelling and screaming. He'd run around the house, but I mean, it's fine. He was just a hyperactive little kid, whatever. But like I said, that third experience babysitting made me so glad that I never had to babysit again after that. And it made me so thankful that I never had to deal with a kid like that before him. And like I said, he wasn't a terrible kid. It's just I was exhausted by the time I left that house because he just kept running around. And the parents came home right before his bedtime. So it's not even like I could have just put him to bed and then just fuck around and watch YouTube. So there was like no downtime the entire time. So that was that. Maybe I'll do story time about house sitting for people, what that was like. If I can make it interesting enough. I don't want it to be some boring story about, oh yeah, I went there and then I watered their plants. And I might have enough stories from all the places I've house sat for. I could just kind of combine it all into one video. I'll probably do that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about. Thanks for watching, everyone. Comment down below your worst babysitting experience and your best babysitting experience. Or if you've never babysat at all and maybe you want some advice. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.